Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for Rain, Season 2, Episode 11, Getaway. And I was definitely looking forward to this episode because I love the mid-season finale. I thought the mid-season finale was an amazing episode. I loved where it left off, and this episode did not disappoint. This was another fantastic episode. And I really feel at this point, Rain can do no wrong. They really can. Because they keep putting out amazing episodes like this one, and yet again, this was another amazing episode. I absolutely love this episode. And let's just get to it because overall I really enjoyed it. So we start off where we see Bash and Kenna are in bed when she says she can't stop thinking about Claude. Now, a lot of people say that they're annoyed by Kenna, and I can kind of see why in this episode. This episode kind of made me like, I don't hate Claude, like Kenna or anything, but I can see why people find her annoying, definitely. She says she can't stop thinking about Claude. She says she's so pretty and adventurous and was in his arms. And he asks her to stop talking about her while they're naked because, of course, he doesn't want to tell her that they had an affair going and, that him and Claude were lovers once. And, I like seeing that, Bash doesn't really want to tell her. She says she's his half sister, and there's a knock at the door. And he finds out that there's a mark of the Dark Riders on all of the hanged bodies. And that's pretty messed up. So we then meet a new character in this episode. Cardinal Perozzo is there and says it must be part of the plot. He says he'll have the Swiss guard sorted out. Bash says he'll handle it, but the Cardinal says he'll handle it. And Francis comes to Mary's chamber with Wood, and you can see right away that they are very distant towards each other because, Mary basically told him that she's done, she doesn't want to be in this relationship with him anymore, that they are just the king and the queen, and they don't really have anything else going on. So it's definitely very awkward between them, and, she's asking why he's there every day or two, and she's asked him to stay away, and he's telling her that he can't stay away from her and everything. You can definitely see he still cares about her, but I think just after everything he's done, and it took so long for him to tell her what's going on, even though she understands what's going on, she can't forgive him. She can't forgive him. She doesn't like the man he's become, and she prefers Louis. And she says she'd like to get away from the castle for a few days, and says he'll come along. But of course she's there. She's going there because of that letter that Louis sent her. That's why she's going. She says there's no hope and she wants to go alone. He says he has no hope and will send extra guards instead. And you can see right away that she really wants nothing to do with him. So Bash comes to see the cardinal after the Brandon man and says he thinks they were marked after death to stir up trouble. And a woman comes to see the cardinal and says she saw the mark on a man but can only give evidence under confession since she saw it when she was sinning. So Frances is with Lola, who says their son is sick, but she's too worried about his safety to let the nannies care for him. And the cardinal comes to tell Frances that Louis has been accused of bearing the brand by a married woman during confession, and that's huge, definitely. So the cardinal says his men will bring him in, and Mary says to bring her carriage, and Leith is her security man. And I like that Louis is in all this trouble now. I think it's a really good direction for his plot because, of course, he's a Protestant. He's not a Catholic. He is a Protestant. So she goes to Louis and says she's taking him in her carriage. He says if he can get to Antoine, they get to Nevers safely. The cardinal men pound on the door and they go out the window to her carriage. And Henry's kissing Catherine. Now, of course, Catherine's still seeing Henry. We're not sure if he's back or if this is weird, real or not. We don't get an answer towards that in this episode, but you can definitely see that she wants to continue this relationship with him. And she's poisoning his soup, and he tells her to be generous with the poison. But she says poisoning her slowly protects her from being caught. He says he'll be with their twins for her eternity. They were her children too. And you can definitely tell right away that he's definitely ghost because the twins are dead, and he's dead. So she's definitely seeing ghosts. I don't know why, but she's seeing ghosts. And I think she's doing this maybe to cleanse herself because of all the drama that, Claude is causing. That's why she's seeing Henry. And he says Claude will get more mercy from God than the twins and says when they take Claude, it won't be quick or merciful. He tells her it must be soon. He asks Catherine what he ever saw in Kenna, and Catherine says it was her ass. And Ken is there, and of course she doesn't see Henry, so she asks if he was talking about her ass, and I thought that was really funny. And Catherine says she wasn't to get out of the way. Kenna watches and then goes to tell Bash that she thinks Catherine is poisoning Claude because the soup did not smell right. It didn't smell like soup to her. And that's strange that she's bringing her meals to her. Now, of course, Kenna has no idea what's going on. She's completely in the dark about everything that's happened with Kenna. She has no idea what Kenna's been doing. I mean, she has no idea what Claude's been doing or anything. So, of course, I'm just like, it's better for her not to get involved, but we know that Kenna's getting involved because that's what Kenna does. She gets involved with things. She constantly thinks people are talking about her behind her back, and I understand why people can get annoyed by her. I personally don't get annoyed by her because I like her character, but I can see if you guys don't like her character. I can definitely see that because I can see how she can get annoying. So, he says that Claude will get more mercy from God than the twins, and that says when they take Claude, it won't be quick or merciful. He tells her it must be soon. He asks Catherine what he ever saw in Kenna, and Catherine says it was, oh, I already read this. Sorry. So Mary, Louis, and Greer show up to Antoine's, and he invites her to stay for the night. She consents to stay for the night, and I really like where this went. Basically, of course, Greer has Castleroy, and all the people that are hiding because they're Protestants are with Antoine for the most part. And I like seeing this definitely. I like seeing Mary try to protect all of them because that's something I really like about Mary is that she wants to protect these people and that she really is all about that. That's really what she wants to do. While Francis doesn't really want to do that. He's doing what what the popular vote is because he's the king. And that's just what he does. He always picks, what the people want to do rather than what he himself wants to do. So France, basically, Antoine asks why he's leaving France instead of spying as ordered, and he shows him the mark, and Bash tells Francis that Louis is gone and says the cardinal told him that Mary got him out. Francis asks where Mary took him, and he says Mary is the heart of a warrior. Bash asks if Mary's alright. Francis says he doesn't know if it's his fault. He says he needs to work with Mary, but Bash says he can't go to war with the Vatican. But Francis says he can't be blind to injustice, and she needs to see the man she married. And Bash says the cardinal sees the brand as a sign of a traitor, and Bash wonders what an infallible Catholic were branded. And Mary watches entertainments when Louis approaches her. He says she needn't stay to be polite and says his brother's parties can become scandalous. She says that intrigues her. And you can tell she is trying to hide about the letter. She's not telling him about the letter. She is just basically flirting with him because she wants to see what happens. She wants to see if he really cares about her. Plus, I think she definitely cares about him. You can definitely see throughout this whole episode, they had so much chemistry. And just, oh my god, I really want Mary and Louis. They are so good together in this episode. And I really want them together after this episode. They are just fantastic. I love them together. And Mary and Francis, I don't care about them anymore. Mary and Francis, I think, is a been there, done that thing. And I think that's really what it's about. So Lath approaches Greer, and I like seeing Lath and Greer in this episode because, of course, Lath and Greer were in a relationship, and she left him for Castleroy, so it's awkward between Lath and Greer right now. So King Antoine toasts Mary's beauty and says he will select one nobleman and lady, and this is pretty messed up what he's doing. He says he will pair those who have a secret desire for each other, sends the first couple to a settee and to a couch and the kiss, and Mary tells Louis she can see why Antoine's wife stays in Navarre. And I thought that was interesting that they're doing this basically. And, Mary says she can see why Antoine's wife stays in Navarre because, how messed up his parties are and how fucked up they are and everything. So Greer says they should leave, but Lace says he's not married and she leaves, and Mary does too. And Louis goes to leave too, but Antoine stops him because I like what Antoine says to him. I like that Antoine does this. I liked Antoine's character. I definitely want to see more of him. I like his relationship with Louis. I like them as brothers. I think they are good together. So I like seeing them. I think he's a very good character. I enjoy Antoine's character. He's very funny at points. I just really like his character a lot. So Antoine tells him bringing Mary was brilliant. He tells Louis that Mary is open and a sympathizer. He says she has influence over Francis and clearly likes him. He tells Louis to get to bed her and get her to fall for him. Now, Louis says she doesn't have affection for him, but Louis says he's not into her and is a bit prudish for his taste and doesn't really know. And I like that he said that she's a prude because she kind of is a prude. She's perfect. I mean, she doesn't really have much flaws to her or anything. But of course, we have to remember that she was raped, so there is that. But she's kind of gotten over that. So, I mean, I really like that conversation between them, and I like they're trying to forget that she was raped because she's trying to move on with her life. I like they're not bringing that up anymore because, again, she's trying to move on from it. So Kenna comes to see Claude and says she heard she was ill. She brings her treats in a book, and the cardinal and his male lover are lolling in bed. And I like that the cardinal is actually gay. I like that twist because, back then they would also be, killed and things like that. So I thought that was really interesting as well. So they discuss getting a promotion if they can bring in Louis. The man leaves the cardinal's chambers. His lover is tripped, stripped, and branded with the mark of the riders. He runs and Bash unmasked. He was wounded, but not seriously. And Antoine chooses Louis and a lady. It's not Mary. She seems eager, and he heads off with her. The woman says she was surprised, but is attracted to him. She kisses him, pushes him onto the couch, and Greer says the gathering is awful. She thinks that's what's upsetting Mary. She tells Greer that's not what it is. And Mary says she just can't stand any man touching her, especially after her being raped. And I love that Mary said that because, I mean, the last time that someone touched her, she was raped. And she doesn't want to have anyone touch her after that. And I like that Mary's trying to be cautious of that. Greer tells her it will pass, but Mary asks if it will. Mary says all she has to go on is the world of Catherine. And I like that she said that because really Catherine is the person that helped her through that. Catherine is the one that told her, look, I can relate to your situation. And I like that Catherine said that to her because that's really why Mary is so, confident when really deep down she's not really confident. She still is thinking about her being raped, and I'm glad they still brought that up because she should still be thinking of that. I mean, it's not like she's just gonna randomly forget about it. No, she should still be thinking about it, and I like that they are doing that. So she asks what if this is what her life will be like, and Greer tells her she's strong and will recover. And I like that she asked that because Mary says she doesn't feel strong. She feels like she's sleepwalking. And Greer says, let her heart rest for now. She holds Mary close. And Louis, meanwhile, the woman is like all over him completely. And he's telling her right away, we can't do this. He says another holds his heart. She says his body tells another story. She says a man like him shouldn't go unclaimed. She ties a scarf around his eyes, tells him to pretend she's that woman, and she kisses him and says she wants everything he wants. He pulls her to him in for a kiss, and I didn't know what he was going to do with her, but that was definitely very interesting. So Kenna finds Claude up reading, and this scene was just, oh my god, so awesome. I hate Claude's character. I hate her. But I really like her as an actress. I think the actress is very good. I think her as a character is a bitch, but she is actually a very good character. So I really love the conflict between Kenna and Claude as well. Definitely really enjoyed it. A lot of people said they just give Kenna stuff to do, but I actually like that Kenna, has something to do rather than just have something like this sex journal, which was stupid. I like this plot. She throws a book at Kenna and asks if she's asked for her help. Kenna tells her that Catherine is poisoning her and says she's trying to save her life. She tells her that her soup is poisoned. She better now. She knocked it over twice. Claude tells her to get out. She tells her she's never been so saltacious to her. And Claude tells her she's a tart. Her dad lost interest in him, passed off on his bastard son. Claude's yelling at her that Claude, Kenna's about to leave. She's about done. And Claude breaks the truth to her. She tells her straight out that Bash and her were lovers. And you can see this look on Kenna's face like, what the hell are you talking about? And Kenna is just like pissed at her. So the cardinal comes in angry, yelling at why Randall, his clerk, was arrested. Randall says he was branded against his will, and the cardinal says his loyalty is indisputable. Francis says he must be tortured in the dungeon. Francis insists and says he must show the Pope that no nation is more loyal than France. Bash says unless he's changed his mind on his theory that the mark is absolute. The cardinal says he'll pray on it. He walks off, and Francis tells Bash that he'll back down. Francis says he believes the cardinal does care for Randall, otherwise he'll have to execute an innocent man. And after his little sexual tryst, Louis comes to say goodbye to thank Mary for helping him, and he tells her she may be safer in Scotland. And she says there are things about her marriage he doesn't know and how Francis is suffering. And I like that she told him straight out. She says she doesn't trust his motive in this advice. And she tells him that she read his letter and knows he tried to retrieve it. And so he says it was not an attempted seduction. And but I like that she told him she's not accusing him of anything. She wishes him goodbye and better fortune. It seems like they're going to depart, and I was kind of sad. I'm like, I don't want this to happen. I want them to stay together. It seemed like at this point that they were just going to, depart and kind of just like go their separate ways. And Bash comes to his chambers. She asks where he's been. She tells him Claude said they were lovers, and he said Claude lied and said he wasn't his father and said it was once, and he was mortified and it never happened. And, I mean, he's trying to make sure that that wasn't true. And she says she feels like a fool for trying to befriend this girl. And I like that Kenna now realizes that, yeah, she shouldn't try to befriend everyone. Because, I mean, think about it. Kenna tries to befriend everyone. She's so nice to everyone, and that's the problem. Kenna's just too nice to people. That really is her problem, is that she's too nice to people. She's too open to people, and she doesn't think. She really does not think, and I like seeing that Kenna realize that in this episode. So she asks about the cut and asks why he's lying to her. He says he can't trust her. She says she's shared so many things with him. He says he got the cut framing an innocent man who will probably die. He says he kills, lies, and that's who he is. He dresses and leaves. And the cardinal says he gave Randall last rites. He asked Bash to speak to Francis about it. Bash says he wants to spare Randall. He should tell Francis he's changed his mind about the mark. And I like that Bash said they're gonna spare him because they can't just go around killing all these people. Like it's messed up what they're doing. I mean, in the time period, yeah, it makes sense, but think about it. These are innocent people. They haven't done anything wrong, so they're executing this guy just because he was gay. So I mean, it's pretty fucked up what they're doing. So the cardinal grabs Bash's arm and he winces and then he sees blood. Realization dawns and Mary's surprised there are Vatican representatives demanding the presence of Louis. And Mary and Leif talk and Mary says they can get rid of and ask for Leif's sword. And was probably my favorite scene in the episode. I love this scene. They heat it in the fire. She tells Louis to trust her. He agrees to let her burn it off. He pulls his shirt. They burn it off and he screams. And Mary is just holding his hand the whole time saying, I'm right here, I'm right here. And if this isn't any indication of what Mary and Louis are going to be now, I'm very excited because I love how close they are in this scene. They literally seem like a couple already. They really do. I mean, they really are that close. They seem like a couple, and I really want these two together. And I know they're getting them together eventually. Right now, I don't want them to get to her because, Mary's suffering right now. Mary's going through a lot. She was just raped. She's still trying to get over that. And when Mary gets over that, then yeah, I definitely want to see them together. Right now, I think that they're not together because Mary's not over her rape and everything. So, Mary says it was a wound that they needed castorizing for sparing, and with her man Leith, and she says they can go back to talk to the cardinal together. Mary tells Greer she had to touch Louis to help burn it off, and she got through it. She says she's not going to Chambord, and she says she has to push on. Greer asks if she's still thinking of leading her separate lives, and Mary says she doesn't know. She says it's so complicated now when it was so easy before. And I love the line because it really was easier and now it's very complicated because she doesn't really know what to do with her life. And I like that she's kind of like, what should I do? And I definitely feel like, her life's going to be with Louis, but you don't really know. So the cardinal comes in, says Randall was attacked and Bash was behind it. Francis says Bash did at his orders. And Francis says the Vatican's brutality in his country must end. The cardinal says he's trying to restore order. He calls Francis a fool. He says that he was just making enemies and Louis was the biggest fish in his net. He tells him to take his men and leave France or kill Randall. Francis says he can try to crush him, but Randall will die and he loves him. And Francis says he had to be sure that he loved him before he chose him, so he questioned his servants. He says there's a silver monogrammed warning tray that's in Randall's bed, not his. He says, you care more about your suffering than yours. And the cardinal says, release him and we'll leave you to your fate. And basically, we got this whole conflict going on. Now, the question is, what's Francis really going to do here? So Lola's son's still crying. Francis comes in to check on them. She says their son is miserable and nothing is working. It definitely seems like Lola and Francis are just getting closer and closer by the minute, while Mary and Francis are just like, this is literally them. They were here and now they're like here. Like they're so far away from each other. They don't have anything in common anymore. They don't even trust each other anymore. And while Mary doesn't really want to be with Louis right now, like she doesn't want to have a romantic relationship. I definitely feel like if she was forced to choose between Francis or Louis, she'd choose Louis in a second because Francis she doesn't trust the man he's become. He's becoming like his father, and she's worried about that. So Lola tells him that their son is miserable, nothing is working. He takes him and the boy stops working, and Francis says all he needed was his father's arms. And I like that he got him to calm down. I actually really do like Francis and Lola. I do. She lies down exhausted and instantly falls asleep. The Cardinal's guard arrives. Bash tells Mary that she'll be proud when she hears what Francis did. Greer asks Leith if he enjoyed himself at Antoine's gallery. He asks if she's jealous, and she says she's not. He tells her that her jealousy gives him hope. So she's not entitled to it. And basically, last scene of the episode, Catherine finds Claude going through her things and asks where the poison is she's been putting in her soup. And Catherine tells her she murdered her sister. She said she pinched them, and then one day they ripped some silk flowers off her dress. So she shoved them down their throats then and suffocated them. And Claude says she was sad because she missed them and she didn't do it. And I like that Catherine came clean to her about it. Catherine says she lied for her. Claude asks why she's trying to kill her after all this time. And Henry sits with the dead twins, and Catherine says there's a price to pay for these things. Claude asks if there's a price to pay, and she pours a glass of poison and tries to drink it. She slaps out of her hand and says she was only 5 and didn't know, but Henry says she can't betray her other children. He and the twins fade away, looking for Francis, and finds him asleep near Lola. And then, basically the final scene, Mary comes to the nursery looking for Francis, and there's Francis sleeping with Lola and their son, and she's just done. She's like, nope, I'm not doing that, and she left. And that was the end of the episode. And how did I feel about this episode overall? Now, there was no Narcisse in this episode. How did I feel about that? I think it was okay. We got a little bit of a break from Narcisse. I mean, I think we got enough Narcisse in the first half that I think we're good right now. I definitely want to see more of his character. I really hope they don't just get rid of him. I really hope they have an actual explanation They didn't have an explanation why he was gone, but we need to see more Narcisse, definitely, because he's such an essential character to the show, and he's one of the most interesting parts about the show, is Narcisse's character. I really do love his character, and I hope that we see more of him. I definitely feel like we'll see more of him. But as I said, Francis is gonna end up getting himself killed. Now I feel like Randall or the Cardinal is gonna kill Francis. I really do. I mean, I said in the mid-season finale he's gonna get himself killed, and it definitely seems like now Mary's gonna choose Louis over Francis in a heartbeat, and they have no real relationship or anything. Kenna, I feel so bad for Kenna now because Bash needs to come clean to her. Bash definitely needs to tell her a lot of what's going on. She's very in the dark, and he needs to come clean to her about it, definitely. I like that Greer, knows that Mary is raped now. She knows that she was raped and she knows what happened to her. And I definitely really enjoyed that. That Mary doesn't really want to touch anyone right now, so I like seeing that. And it seemed like Claude was going to die in this episode, but she didn't. But I definitely feel like she's going down that road. I definitely feel like she's going down that road. What do you think of Catherine seeing Henry? I don't really know how to feel about that. I think that's kind of strange that happened. I hope we see more of Antoine. I really liked his character. I thought he was really good as well. I really like where they're going with him. And again, I really like where they're going with Mary and Louis as well. I think they're in the perfect place right now. I really love where they're heading with those two characters. They're such great characters, and I just love them together. I think they're fantastic. But overall, guys, I love this episode. I thought this was by far, I mean, probably the second best episode of the season. Third best, maybe, no, the third best, because the second best is the episode where Mary is raped. This was definitely a second best. That's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw of this episode, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for Glee. So I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.